deserve to have the best physical, mental, spiritual, Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Welcome again to another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. I'm your host. And as you know, just kind of some of the things we always talk about, just kind of things of areas of my life and my experience. By no means am I a doctor or professional to tell you what to do, but I've got some very good advice and information on how someone like me who could have never or should have never, played at the highest level of football in the world actually was able to do that. And again, there's a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis in our lives that a lot of decision making we have. Every day we have millions of decisions, very, very minute decisions, but kind of just the attitude and so forth. And that's really where I'm going to go with today's subject is really kind of, there's all kinds of things that we can accomplish. You talk about your health, your wealth, your career, just things you're passionate about. There's certain things, your diet, but they all won't work unless you have the right mindset. And that's what I'm talking about. I can give you all the greatest information in the world about fitness, exercise, health, wellness, nutrition. And again, I'm not the professionals by any means, but I, just based on what I know. But with regards to just kind of all the advice I can give you, even with kicking, like I can coach you all day long. But if you don't have the right mindset to actually, first off, accept the knowledge, accept the material that I would be presenting or any professional would be presenting to you, presenting, getting that information, trusting that information, and having the passion to do with it what you want to. Of course, my mindset was always, do the best I can under the circumstances I've been given every day, and wherever I see myself fit with regards to what I accomplished that day. I know I've succeeded because I've done the best. If I can honestly, truly, tell myself I've done my best under the circumstance I've given, then I've done my best, and I'm like, whatever outcome that might be is going to be what it is. So that's one of the biggest things that is a make or break sort of option in life, in general, and anything in life. What you're doing is you have to have the right mindset to break through and get you to kind of understand and hopefully make it understandable where it's a lifestyle change, whatever the case may be. It's going to take a commitment. That's the other part too of what we're talking about as far as the mindset. You have to commit. You have to be dedicated. You have to be relentless. You have to, move forward with passion and don't be afraid. That's the biggest thing that people don't. The reason why they don't really finish what they started or have a fear of doing things is because they're afraid of failure. But you just have to know you're going to fail. So there's inevitably, we're going to have failure in life. And so that's really where I'm going with this is that expect failure and don't be afraid. And it's very difficult for anybody, myself included, to get out of that comfort zone, knowing that you don't feel comfortable doing it. You feel like you're probably going to fail. You might be embarrassed. People might think differently about you. But you know what? I thought all that kind of stuff back when I was trying to kick a football. I loved it so much that I didn't care about what people thought about me. So I'm going to cover a lot of that stuff with regards to me personally playing the NFL, what it took to get there. But more so, I'm going to really want to really kind of open your eyes to kind of the mindset it's going to take to achieve certain things in life. But we'll get right into all that deep information. And I've got a couple little kind of examples I want to give you guys from other people that are incredibly successful. So without further ado, just a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back to talk about our mindset and how to accomplish things that we have the passion for in life. So we'll be right back.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
And welcome back. Just want to, mention, of course, just the whole concept of just success and greatness in life really kind of revolves around a couple different aspects. I'm kind of, more or less kind of describe them in a couple different categories. One would be, finding that passion for things. Whatever you have a passion for doing, it makes it a heck of a lot easier too. By the way, so again, if you're unhealthy, you should hopefully develop a nice passion to get healthy, because being unhealthy is not fun. I've been there, not incredibly like in the hospital unhealthy, but just out of shape and just didn't feel good at all. I hated it. Okay, so you got to have the passion for that, and understand that there's a concept of just the understanding and what you're going to do about it, and having that mindset, of course, and of course, like I mentioned, if you're passionate about it, the motivation is there. Okay. So that's part of it. That having the motivation to do something is a really big deal. If you don't have that, if you don't have the passion for it, that's going to be a tough one for you. But my point is, finding those things that, and sometimes they're out of necessity. Again, overweight or out of shape or unhealthy. If you want to be around longer, if you got family and kids you want to be around for and all that, you better take care of yourself. And again, that's the mindset you got to have, and then you got to have the commitment. Now, the other part of that would be the educational part, the material, the information. There's a lot of we'll say supplements. Guys just saw our sponsor, and I'm very biased of that company 3, because I'm a part of it. I've experienced what their products can do for me. I've read, I've seen clinical studies. I know Dan Gubler, our chief scientific officer. I know him well enough to read inside his heart. Notice and understand what kind of a person that he is. But also, I see a lot of the information that he provides. I don't really read it all, but he'll talk about a clinical study, like, oh, in this such and such document is a clinical study on this exact thing we're talking about here: absorption, cellular absorption, delivery, whatever the case may be. And different molecules and phytonutrients and what they do to the body. So the information that he provides me gives me motivation to stay with the products, because I do believe in my heart that they're working for me. And as far as just all the ingredients and the cellular absorption and the curation. Again, I'm not trying to talk about 3 and sell you on the products, but I'm just saying that with regards to understanding and knowing and trusting the knowledge. With kicking, I can go in that concept as well. I had a weird, different kind of technique taught to me. And then, of course, my coach, he didn't demonstrate for me. He didn't show me how it worked. He just told me how it worked. And I just had to take his word for it. Okay. So again, learning all the stuff that Jim had taught me, I had to trust it. Okay. I had the passion there. I loved kicking. I loved the challenge of getting better. And that's another reason why I took on this challenge, because after he explained it to me, it started making more sense. And I'm like, you know what? I can kind of see now. I never thought of kicking this way, but I can see now how this works for people. And I understand the physics behind it. I'm not an incredibly intelligent person when it comes to physics, but just things made sense to me after he explained them and gave me analogies and things like that. And so I kind of put two and two together. So that kind of gave me that trust. Okay. So your doctor tell you have maybe some health issues. Hey, you're out of shape. You need to get your heart, and obviously we're going to take baby steps with this, but get your heart back in shape again and get your whole body feeling good again. Well, that's kind of like the form that Jim taught me. Say, doctor's going to tell you what to do. He's going to tell you what kind of supplements to take. Hopefully it's, nutraceuticals, natural supplements and things like that. Hopefully it's not, hey, here's a bunch of pills, take these every day and you'll be better. I'm not a big fan of pharmaceutical pills when it comes to our overall health and wellness. I think that there's a lot of deception in those, and I think that there's a lot of money to be made for the unhealthy people. They don't want to make us healthy because there's no money in healthy people. So anyways, I'm getting off on a little tangent here again, but my point is you have to kind of understand that there's going to be that commitment, finding that motivation. Your doctor tells you you're unhealthy, I'm not predicting your lifespan at that point. I'm just saying that, hey, if you keep up this bad ritual, habitual, way of eating and your lifestyle the way it is right now, you're going to come into some really, really nasty health problems later on. And that may put you, bluntly saying it, underground, So definitely that is a motivation to, get better with your health and understanding what is working, what's not. I mean, I've got some friends that are dealing with some cancer issues right now. My neighbor across the street is going to this clinic out in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm telling you, he did a lot of research on this clinic. He did a lot of research on a lot of other clinics, but he chose this one because he trusted the doctors. When he went there, he met everybody. He was like, man, I made the right decision because these people are amazing. So in his heart is now that increases the faith level. That's the other thing too, is, you got, when you're trying to strive for success, wanting to understand what it takes to get to success and reach the highest level of the world, whatever the case may be, fix that cancer, fix your health issues, get back in shape, and do all these things that you're achieving or wanting to achieve. There's a level of commitment that has to come with that, and you have to be ready for that. And again, it depends on how much you want this change. If it's life, threatening, then definitely I would believe and understand that that you definitely want to make sure that you're making the right choices with regards to what you're doing to make yourself better, and then trusting what whoever told you those kind of things. And so, Zealous Wellness is just kind of an area of, hey, I'm going to offer some information. I've got those good companies I'm with, Premier Life, and Wellness and Anti-Aging is one company that we deal with. GLP-1, and we deal with NAD plus and Somorelin, all those the things that are popular right now. People are taking these little shots or maybe orally that increase your metabolism, or hormone boosters, things like that. So anything that's going to be anti-aging, anything that's going to be naturally beneficial for our bodies, of course, I'm going to be interested in it because I want to maintain my health, and I've committed to do that. I've not only committed for myself as far as keeping myself healthy and my longevity on this earth as long as I can possibly live, but I also want to help others do the same thing. And so that's why I've developed Zealous Wellness, and I talk about my journey and just things that have happened to me. I'm becoming more professional with this. I've told many others that I'm in the process of actually becoming a certified holistic health coach through a company. And when that happens, I'll be able to kind of really feel confident in talking a lot about the nutrition and things like that, other than what I've already kind of mentioned about 3 and the products and things like that we have there. But ultimately, what I'm saying is that I'm providing the vehicle, hopefully, that people can take advantage of to make those life-changing decisions with regards to their health and wellness. But again, it does take the mindset. I can round up 100 of you people and say, hey, how bad do you want to change your life with these products? And 100% of you would say, yes, this is great. Give it a couple weeks, and then half of you are gone. Well, you didn't really make that commitment. I'm going to tell you exactly what it's going to take early on. You're going to have to do this, this, and this, and this. Take these products every day. Do these exercises, whatever the case may be. There's a plan. And that's where I'm saying you got to trust the plan. Even though you don't see the plan and see in the future what the plan is going to look like for you, I didn't either with kicking. I'm just telling you have to have faith and understand that there is the great information out there. There's great products out there. There's things that are going to make you better. And the professionals that we always rely on. Now, I know that there's different professionals and different opinions about stuff, and that's where the tricky part is. Okay, you have to understand. And again, it has to do with what you kind of feel in your heart and how you want to move forward. And again, you want to make it make sense. Okay, so again, there's a lot of companies out there with great products, but they don't really have the science to back it up, or they don't even try to apply for the PDR. They don't try to do any peer reviews on it because they know the product isn't that great. They know that once they do a study on it, like a clinical study, that's going to be found out that product is a bunch of junk, and they're going to be caught, and they're going to be out of business, and they're going to lose a bunch of money. Okay, that's a very big, significant thing. 3 international, 7 of our 11 products are in the PDR. Okay, so that gives you that trust in knowing that, hey, and plus they're nutraceuticals, so they're not pharmaceuticals. They're all natural plant-based products. Okay, so and they're healing people. They're fixing problems from the inside out. Again, I can't say that technically as far as what issues are healing. I can't say they're going to heal your problems or issues. I'm just saying that we're noticing a lot of people talking about their health and becoming much better. They made that commitment whenever they joined their company, not only as maybe a business opportunity, but also as a health and wellness opportunity. I mean, that was my big thing is I want to I've always been looking for things that will finding things for myself to, increase longevity, and make myself healthier. And I've just got a passion for that. But when you come across things like that with 3 International and Premier Life, I'm like, wow, okay, these are actually legitimate companies that have great products that have great service and concierge and things like that will answer questions. Every aspect of those 2 companies that I'm referring to, and many, many more, were very attractive to me. And so I definitely felt that being involved with those 2 companies will help others. But again, I can offer help. I remember taking an Uber ride a long time ago with this gentleman that was very, very overweight, and he had a conversation with me. about wanting to make a change. I gave him my card, and this was a long time ago. And finally, after months, he finally reached out to me. I responded to his message, and then I never heard from him again. And it wasn't just, I was like, hey, great to hear from you. I'm glad you made this commitment. Almost like he heard the word commitment and then he dipped. I'm like, wow, that's just too bad, because it's all about, when you get to that position of the situation he was in. He's very overweight, and I'm sure he struggled a little bit. And I think that they believe that it's maybe too late, or maybe they think that, man, it's just going to take too much time and effort to get to where I want to be. And so they kind of bail out a little bit. But again, it all comes down to that mindset and how you want to deal with it, and how important it is to you. So with regards to that, going back to, other people that you can talk about, highest level of world, and whatever it was they did. I just saw Michael Phelps was interviewed recently, and it might've been an old interview, but he literally said, you want to know how I got so good? His body style and frame. I've met the guy. His hands are massive. So he has a little edge there with his swimming, of course. But my point is, when he was talking, he said, I've just been doing things that nobody else would do. He said, here's an example. He said, for the past 5 years, 365 days a year for 5 years in a row, I have not missed a workout. I've worked out every single day for 5 years straight. Who does that? Well, guys that want to be, girls, women, anybody in general who wants to be very successful is going to commit that time and effort into it. Yes, it is a lot of sweat, blood, and tears. Yes, he probably had a coach that was telling him, maybe a nutritionist that was feeding him all the thousands of calories he had to eat every single day because of his training, but he did it. Okay. Again, guys like, Tom Brady. We'll talk about screw your feelings. He uses another word, but you know what I'm saying? Screw your feelings. You don't want to get up and work out that morning. You've already committed to it. You better get up and work out. Why wouldn't you? Just because you feel tired? That's crap. Don't do that. Get up and work out. You made that commitment. That's why I keep telling you that, we can always share great information, whether it's fitness, whether it's health and nutrition, whether it's football with me as far as kicking, all these kind of coaches out there. There's all kinds of information out there, all kinds of plans. There's all kinds of things designed to make you a better person. If you do not have the mindset to become a better person for yourself, all that information is irrelevant. It's wasted information. Maybe you paid for it, but you didn't use it. Well, you just wasted a bunch of money. You might as well just throw it in the fire and watch it burn. Cash out a check and have a couple $1,000s of cash in your hand and throw it in the fire, because that's what you just did. Depends on what what kind of program we're talking about here, of course. But I'm telling you, through personal experience myself, I've done that before, where I've committed to something that I had to pay for, and I didn't really fall through to it, because I knew that as soon as I committed to it, I had that feeling that I wasn't going to. And of course, it wasn't a lot of money. It's just some kind of silly things that I've done in the past. I could have done that. I should have done that, but it wasn't life-changing or altering. It was just something that I kind of committed to. And again, I'm just telling you that honest transparency is the fact that we all do it, right? So I want to make sure that we understand that once you make that commitment, again, it has to do with that passion. Like, you got to find that passion. You got to understand if it's something for you, but you have to have the right mindset to accomplish it. There was another lady I just saw recently about, she was talking about, how you would answer to your past self. If you saw yourself from the future and then you looked at yourself in the past, what would you tell your past self? And she was a heavy lady back in the day. And she was basically saying, don't quit, don't give up. Don't be afraid of failure. That's one of the biggest reasons why people don't stay committed to what they've committed to. Because one of many, but one would be the fact that it becomes harder than they thought. That would be something. But again, you made that commitment. But the failure part is what I'm referring to. She was referring to if that person that she was, 10 years ago or whatever it was, had failed. That's why she went back to her past self as a future skinnier later and say, hey, this is the information that I give you. This is what you can expect. Do not quit. Do not be afraid of failure. You're going to fail, but the inevitable is if you commit to this and don't fail and don't quit after failing, is my point. You will get to that point, and that's her future. Her future self was a very thin lady who lost a lot of weight and felt great and achieved a lot of things that she was afraid she would not achieve. And that's the thing I always talk about with regards to diets and fitness exercises. You have to work out enough. You have to stay on that diet long enough to get over the hill. Okay, that's the thing, is that getting over the hill is the hardest part, or reaching that point that you know, or you will eventually know that things will start to get easier. And everybody's different. Every commitment's a little different. That's the thing with consistency, and that's where, again, I bring myself up with kicking. Is I found a way to kick a football that was easy to repeat, and it was easy to, it was easy. It became an easy process because I got so good at it. Okay, so the things that made me miss kicks are things that I didn't do when I normally would do my form. And so that was that, maybe a decommitment or an accidental, complacency, we'll say. That's what I'm talking about with anything else, as far as weight, as far as your health and nutrition, as far as your fitness and things like that. You can possibly just, accidentally give up on it, or get complacent on it, and just kind of get back into that same routine. Before you know it, you haven't really gained much. And so with kicking, and getting back to the consistent part, is you find that process of kicking a football that works. Then you kind of, of course, when you're talking about nutrition and fitness, you find the process of the nutrition, the diet, and of course, finding it is trusting what you're told to eat and consume as far as supplements, but also staying with them. Because again, it takes consistency. I had a conversation with somebody today about, wanting samples of 3 international products. I said, yeah, I can give you some of my personal samples, but a couple of days worth of samples, you're really not going to feel a whole lot from them. You're going to need prolonged, information. You're going to, not information, but time to keep taking, the products, because it takes a while. So especially at the cellular level, it takes a while for cells to rebuild and regenerate and things like that. And so you'll start to feel it in a week or two or whatever, as far as if there's major issues. But some people feel some things pretty quickly. For example, for me, the inflammatory issue. I stopped taking Advil as soon as I started taking these products, but there was a couple days where I really, really wanted the Advil, but I didn't. But those days I took, the Revive, which is our anti-inflammatory. Plus, you add the epigenetics properties of the products being downregulating those inflammatory genes. I believe that the combination of all the products together with the epigenetics plus the Revive and the superoxide studies, of course, decreases the inflammation or decreases the superoxide production, which causes inflammation if there's too much superoxide in the body. Anyways, I'm getting off track. My point in saying that is that I stuck with it for long enough to see the results. Okay, that's the thing. That's kind of the hump I keep referring to. And that's, again, once you see that commitment, once you get to that, you've made a commitment, and once you've given that opportunity, the chance of a week or two, or however long it takes you to start to feel the effects and start to notice a difference. Again, people give up way too fast. They don't give themselves a chance to really feel what the benefits could be of what it is they've committed to, And so that's really a tough thing for a lot of people. I gave you some reasons as far as, they haven't seen the results fast enough. They gave up too early. It was harder than they thought. They committed to it and then realized it was going to be kind of hard. That's why these things, I always like to give people an example of what they're in for. Like the 3 Proactive. I said, listen, you got to give it at least a month of all the products. If you can afford to buy all the products, give it at least a month, and you'll notice a difference. Because everybody that I know, everybody that's done this before, has been in for at least a month or more, has noticed a difference in different areas of their lives. Of course, I would say that with anybody with Premier Life, I'd say, listen, stick with the NAD Plus and the Somorelin for a good month or two, and you'll start to notice you'll be on this routine, and the next thing you know, you're like, people are commenting to you, man, you look thinner. And you'll start to hear more compliments about the way you look because of these products and so forth. But if you don't give it enough time, you're going to say, oh, that product didn't work. Well, you didn't give it enough time to work. And so, again, that's kind of that concept of understanding the highest level of the world in certain aspects, and why people have become the greatest athletes in the world. It wasn't because they were gifted with athleticism. They just did what other people wouldn't do, as Tom Brady would say. Just do what other people don't do. Well, that part is easier said than done, because, I'll just do what other people don't do. Well, if you're working out every single day for 5 years in a row, 365 days a year, clearly that's probably something not everybody does. Maybe there's some other people out there that might try it and do it, but that's a huge commitment. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel, when I was a kicker growing up and trying to get in the NFL, my competition is not like what it is today. So I feel like, man, I was a little fortunate, because if I put myself as good as I was back in the day, If I put myself in an NFL training camp today, I'd be very nervous about having a job because these guys are good. They've gotten really, really good over the past 30 years, 20 years or so. You know what I mean? So everything's getting better and things are changing, things are evolving. And so we as humans have to, adjust and adapt to those kinds of things. But it does take, again, going back to the point of this whole episode, is about the mindset. How are you going to deal with the mindset of these changes? And again, I feel bad for the people that don't adjust and improvise with the changes. There's going to be changes in foods and diets and things like that. We've evolved and fitness exercises. Man, I can't even understand some of the things that people are doing now in the weight room. It's like, wow, that's a weird exercise, but it looks like it's incredibly effective. I would have never thought that, 30 years ago of some of these exercises these people are doing now. And they're learning, and they're learning at a younger age too. And so they're coaching kids, and dietitians are teaching people at younger ages and so forth, and they're teaching them better things. And so people should be, I say they should be, because people don't commit to healthy lifestyles. People should be really healthy these days. Now, another issue about being unhealthy these days, our hands are kind of tied because of the food sources that we only have access to. Now, if you want to be the most nutritious person in the world, you're probably gonna have to grow your own food. You're probably gonna have to do a lot of research and science on how to prepare food the ways that we're not doing these days, because of how inexpensive it is to develop food the way it is, to spray all those pesticides on the same crops they've been using for years, to do all the things that they're adding to our foods that are making us unhealthy, causing problems, the vaccines, things like that people didn't do a lot of thought into in the long run. Maybe they did on a kind of an evil way, we'll say. Because they know that there's some side effects they're gonna need pills for the side effects, and it's just that revolving circle that keeps happening with people in the medical industry, where they get unhealthy, and next thing you know, they're having to commit to all these pills on a daily basis. And so that's the mindset, of course. Again, off on a different track here, but with regards to just understanding what's proper to eat as far as your nutrition, as far as your diet. Understanding, getting the information, educating yourself on what's proper to eat. Then the other part is actually committing to doing it and actually doing that and sticking with the commitment that you made. It's going to be a lifestyle change, but that's what it takes, the mindset. I opened up this episode by talking about, I can tell you every perfect thing in the world. I can give you information that's factual. I can tell you the answers to the youth, the fountain of youth. I could give you the fountain of youth right here on this show. I can tell you everything you need to do to live. And to live until you're, 200 years old. I'm kind of joking, but 200 years old, right? Like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And then I show you what you do, and they're like, oh, I don't really know if I want to do that. Yeah, it's going to be a lifestyle change, but again, I told you what you can do. It's up to you and your mindset on what you're going to do with the information. Okay, so you got to know, what you're going to do with your diet. You got to know what you're going to do with your exercise. And you got to trust where the information is coming from. And so my, job, I guess we'll say, or anybody who has a heart that really wants to help people become healthier and live a better lifestyle and be around for their grandkids and things like that. Those are the people who can be very genuine. And yeah, they're going to get their information from somewhere. But for the most part, professionals that really are passionate about the health industry and the fitness industry and the football industry. You're talking about kicking. Yes, I'm passionate about all of those, right? But, was I professional in all of them? No, I'd say my kicking, I would be a professional because I've got the credentials to be a professional kicking coach, because I was a professional at one point. But the other two, the fitness and the diets, I'm not a professional in any of those, but I've had experiences in both of those areas. So just trust me and understand the things that I'm sharing with you are my experiences, my opinions. I'm not a professional yet. Now I will be maybe in the dietitian part, as far as the nutrition part, with a holistic health coach type of thing that I'm going to be getting soon. But with regards to that, all that doesn't matter if you don't have the right mindset. I had the right mindset kicking football because I love to do it. I love the challenge, and it became something that it was an addiction. It became an addiction, honestly. When I hit just like much like golf. You think of golfers, and man, why does my husband go out golfing like 3 times a week? Well, your husband probably wants to talk with the boys, hang out with the guys, have some beers, whatever. But the golf game itself is become very addictive for him. I'm sure he's out there. He's like, man, he's addicted to winning. Maybe he's a really very, very, very strong competitor. But also, when you start hitting those golf balls around and you start hitting them straight and high and far, you're like, wow, this is fun. Okay, so there's an addiction that comes with that. So find your addiction, not a bad addiction, clearly, not the unhealthy foods, not alcohol, drugs, those kind of things. Clearly, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about good addictions, the addictions that are going to be good for you in the long run. You become addicted to those. So again, going back to the whole diet and nutrition and lifestyle change, you'll be surprised once you get into a diet and a routine. Foods will taste, if you're eating certain foods, you're becoming a little bit more alkaline in your body. Coca-Colas and your fruit drinks and things like that, they will become incredibly sweet and you won't like them anymore. Okay, again, personal experience. This is not just factual stuff. I mean, they say that your taste buds change when you start to alkalize more, maybe after fasting, definitely after fasting. I've known that one too. So your lifestyle, your habits of eating, what you're eating will change a little bit because you'll start to realize, because your taste buds are telling you to eat these different foods instead of something that's so really manufactured and processed and too sweet that you won't like after a while. So again, give it a chance. Have the mindset at least to get to an opportunity where you either you're going to continue with it or not, but it's not going to be after a couple of days. With your fitness, clearly, you're not going to go in the weight room and bench 400 pounds on day 1 or 2. It's going to take you, month 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 2 years down the road. Depends on where you came in the weight room at as far as what you're lifting, but you understand what I'm saying? Even with the diets and nutrition, things like that, things are not going to change overnight. It's going to take some time for your body, and everyone's different. Okay. So always understand that. So with that said, I'm going to end it with just the whole mindset part of it, just making sure that you understand everything has to do with how you look at it, how you perceive things. You have to understand when you're looking at things from your own eyes, you have to understand how it is that they look, to you. What is it? What do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see yourself after you look? I'm going to commit to this diet. What am I going to look like in 5 years? If I stick with this diet and change my lifestyles around a little bit, what am I going to look like? So kind of more or less see yourself in the future. I'm not saying set goals by any means. I mean, yeah, definitely everybody can set goals, but what I'm really referring to is kind of try to see yourself in the future, and then strive to be that person that you see yourself as. And again, it's going to take some commitment. It might take some blood, sweat, and tears, as far as your workout. It's going to take some effort. Okay. But nothing in life is easy. If kicking a football was easy, how many professionals we'd have in the NFL right now? We'd have, I don't know how many teams we'd have. We'd have probably a lot more teams maybe, or there'd be 6,000 kickers out there that are all so good that they can play in the NFL tomorrow. There'd be that many. There's not, I can promise you. So that's what I'm saying. The things that are difficult for people are not easy to achieve, but if you can find the addiction, find the passion, and do what others are not doing, you'll find yourself on top of your world and maybe the world of others, as far as, or of course you don't want to get arrogant and be up on the top of the hill looking down on people. But my point is you'll see a big change in yourself, and you'll also see a big change in how people treat you as well. I mean, there's a lot of respect in people like you who go through the blood, sweat, and tears to become, more fit, who don't go with the hunger, pains all the time because you've been someone who eats all day long and now you can't, and now you're not, and then people look at you like, man, that's very respectful. So you got that going for you too. So don't be afraid to make commitments in life and have a good mindset when it comes to what you commit to, because you're going to see change and others are going to see change. And that's a good thing. Okay. So you're going to be proud of yourself once you finish, or not really finish, once you change your lifestyle to be more of a habit. Every day you're doing the things that you at one point thought you would fail at, but look at you now. You're doing great now. Okay. So hold on to that. Keep doing it now and just enjoy your life and be proud of yourself, knowing that you made that commitment years ago. And today you feel so much better that you made that commitment. And even the best part is that you stuck to that commitment, and then go out and share that with others. Help others do the same thing you did and give them motivation. Okay. That's my goal for you today. That's my plan for you today. Hopefully you have a great Monday, rest of your Monday. And we will definitely see you next Monday night at 5:30 again on Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.